Imagine a beautiful garden. The day it is planted is unforgettable. Fresh flowers, rich soil, carefully chosen seeds, everyone admires it. Months later, however, something changes. The flowers begin to fade, the grass loses its color, weeds quietly appear. Not because the garden was defective, not because the seeds were poor, but because admiration quietly replaced maintenance. The gardener assumed that what had been planted would somehow continue growing without daily care. Marriage follows the same pattern. The wedding day is not the finish line, it is the planting season. The real work begins after the applause ends. Many husbands spend months or even years pursuing the woman they love. They plan thoughtful dates, write heartfelt messages, notice the smallest details, celebrate special occasions, listen attentively, they make her feel seen. Then something subtle happens after marriage. Life becomes busy, children arrive, careers expand. Bills multiply, responsibilities increase. Without realizing it, the husband gradually stops pursuing the very woman he once worked so hard to win. He still loves her, but he assumes she already knows. An old Italian proverb says, "The fire you do not tend will soon grow cold." Love rarely disappears in a single dramatic moment. More often, it slowly weakens through neglect. That is why the ninth timeless law is this: a mature husband never stops courting the woman he married. He understands that marriage does not end the pursuit. It gives the pursuit a lifelong purpose. Special greetings to all my honorable guild members. Wherever you're watching us from, I welcome you to this episode of our ongoing series on marital wisdom as applicable to men. In this section, we shall be covering law number 9, which is never stop dating the woman you married. But before we delve into that, may I ask you to please take a moment to subscribe to our channel? Also give us a like, share, and tap on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. We would also appreciate your comments. Thank you. The first point we shall be looking at is the principle that love grows where attention continues. One of the greatest misconceptions about marriage is this: now that we're married, she already knows how I feel. Perhaps she does. But every human heart still needs reassurance. Every meaningful relationship needs intentional investment. The healthiest marriages are not sustained by memories of the wedding day. They are sustained by thousands of thoughtful moments that follow it. Relationship researchers consistently report that couples who regularly engage in positive everyday interactions, express appreciation, spending quality time together, showing affection, and responding warmly to one another, tend to report higher marital satisfaction and greater resilience during stressful seasons. Grand gestures matter, but it is often the small, repeated acts of attention that keep emotional intimacy alive. The mature husband therefore asks himself a different question: not, do I still love my wife? But, does the way I live each day allow her to experience that love? Love that is only assumed gradually becomes invisible. Love that is consistently expressed becomes unforgettable. An old Swedish proverb wisely says, shared joy is double joy. Marriage flourishes when everyday moments become opportunities to reconnect. Point number 2, why familiarity can become a threat. There is a quiet danger. Hidden inside routine, the extraordinary slowly begins to feel ordinary. The husband who once admired his wife's smile barely notices it. The wife who once waited eagerly for his arrival begins to expect another distracted evening. Neither of them intended for this to happen. Life simply became crowded. Familiarity is not the enemy, complacency is. The mature husband refuses to allow routine to replace intentionality. He understands that people rarely drift into deeper intimacy. They drift into distance unless someone chooses to keep building the relationship. A Danish proverb captures this beautifully. The best ship is friendship. A lasting marriage is not sustained by romance alone. It is sustained by an enduring friendship that is continually nurtured. What then is the best practice? It is to continue winning her heart. Courtship does not end with a wedding ring. It changes form. The mature husband still asks meaningful questions. He still notices what brings her joy. He still remembers important dates. He still creates moments where the two of them can laugh, dream, and simply enjoy each other's company. He understands that romance is not measured by expense. It is measured by intentionality. A handwritten note, a quiet walk together, preparing her favorite meal, holding her hand while watching the sunset, sitting together after the children are asleep with no phones in sight. Small moments become lifelong memories because they communicate one message: you still matter deeply to me. As an old Moroccan proverb says, little by little the bird builds its nest. Strong marriages are built in exactly the same way. Let's consider a case of Friday tradition, for example. After 15 years of marriage, Victor noticed that every week looked exactly the same. Work, dinner, television, sleep, a repeated routine. One evening he asked his wife, when was the last time we laughed until we couldn't stop? Neither of them could remember. That realization troubled him. So he introduced one simple tradition. Every Friday evening became their evening. Sometimes they walked through a local park. Sometimes they shared tea on the balcony after the children were asleep. Sometimes they visited a quiet cafe. Sometimes they simply drove through the city talking about dreams they had not discussed in years. The activities were simple. The consistency was extraordinary. Months later, his wife said, "I feel like I found my best friend again." Victor realized something profound. Romance is rarely built by spectacular moments. It is built by protected moments. Let's take another case, an example of forgotten compliments. Anthony loved his wife deeply, yet he had not complimented her in months. Not because he no longer admired her. He simply assumed she already knew. One evening, while preparing for a family gathering, she asked, "Does this dress still look nice?" Without looking up from his phone, he replied, "It's fine." She smiled politely, but inside she felt unseen. The next day, Anthony reflected on the conversation. He realized he had become generous with responsibilities, but stingy with appreciation. He changed. He began noticing the details again. Her new hairstyle, her patience with the children, her kindness toward neighbors, her resilience during difficult weeks. One evening, she quietly asked, "What changed?" Anthony smiled. "Nothing changed about you. I simply started paying attention again." As an old Irish proverb reminds us, a kind word never broke anyone's mouth. Sometimes the shortest sentence can strengthen a marriage more than the most expensive. Let's consider some examples. The first is the case of an anniversary that wasn't expensive. David worried because money was tight. Their anniversary was approaching. He couldn't afford the restaurant they used to visit. Instead of canceling the celebration, he recreated their first date at home. He cooked dinner himself, printed old photographs, played the music they had listened to while dating. At the end of the evening, he handed his wife a handwritten letter describing the qualities he admired most about her after 12 years of marriage. She cried. Not because of luxury, because of thoughtfulness. Years later, she would say, "That was my favorite anniversary." Love is rarely measured by price. It is measured by presence. Let's take another example. Benjamin owned a successful company. His schedule was relentless. One evening, his young daughter asked, "Daddy, why do you always talk to your phone? More than you talk to mommy?" The question struck him deeply. That night, he apologized to his wife. Together, they created one rule. Every evening after dinner, the phones disappeared for 30 uninterrupted minutes. No business, no emails, no social media, just conversation. Some nights they discussed finances. Other nights they laughed. Sometimes they simply sat quietly together. Within a year, his wife described those 30 minutes as the most important part of every day. Benjamin learned that intimacy is not found by discovering more time. It is found by protecting the time you already have. Let's take an example, a case of growing together instead of growing apart. Henry and Grace married in their 20s. By their 40s, both had changed, new careers, different interests, greater responsibilities. One evening, Henry realized something unsettling. He knew everything about his wife's schedule, but very little about her current dreams. He began asking new questions. What do you still hope to accomplish? What scares you these days? What would you love us to do together in the next 5 years? Those conversations introduced him to a woman he thought he already knew completely. Marriage had not changed her. Life had. The mature husband never assumes he has finished discovering his wife. As an old Chinese proverb wisely says, learning is a treasure that follows its owner everywhere. The same is true of marriage. There is always more to learn about the person you love. Now let's look at why friendship outlasts romance. Romance creates attraction, friendship sustains it. When beauty changes, friendship remains. When careers become demanding, friendship remains. When health declines, friendship remains. Marriage experts consistently observe that enduring marriages are marked by strong friendship, shared interest, mutual adoration, curiosity, humor, and emotional support. Couples who continue investing in these everyday qualities often navigate life's inevitable challenges with greater resilience. The mature husband understands that the greatest love stories are rarely built on dramatic emotions alone. They are built on enduring companionship. Let's look at the transformation that begins to happen when your wife becomes your favorite person again. Imagine reaching your 30th wedding anniversary. Your children are grown. The house is quieter. Many of life's greatest responsibilities have changed. One evening, you sit together watching the sunset. You realize something beautiful. You are no longer together simply because you once fell in love. You are together because you never stopped choosing each other. Every thoughtful conversation, every protected date, every shared laugh, every handwritten note, every apology, every ordinary act of kindness quietly built the friendship that carried your marriage through every season. That is the transformation this law produces. Your wife does not simply remain your spouse. She becomes, once again and always, your favorite companion. Now, here are the practical habits every husband should develop in line with law number 9. To keep dating your wife throughout your marriage, protect regular one-on-one time, even if it is simple and inexpensive. Offer genuine compliments often, especially about her character, effort, and growth. Continue learning about her dreams, fears, and changing interests instead of assuming you already know everything. Celebrate milestones with thoughtfulness rather than extravagance. Remove distractions and give her your full attention during daily conversations. Surprise her occasionally with small acts of kindness that say, "I was thinking about you." Remember that consistency matters more than intensity. Small expressions of love repeated faithfully create extraordinary intimacy. The next video will focus on law number 10, the final law as we round up on these series. But before then, here's the lesson to always remember from law number 9. An old English proverb says, take care of the pennies and the pounds will take care of themselves. Marriage follows the same principle. Take care of the small moments. The large memories will take care of themselves. The mature husband never assumes that yesterday's affection is sufficient for today's relationship. He keeps planting, he keeps watering, he keeps noticing, he keeps pursuing, because he understands a timeless truth. The woman you continue to court is the woman with whom you continue to grow. In concluding this topic, let's have a recap of all the laws we've covered so far. You have now journeyed through 9 timeless laws. 1. Master yourself before you master the conversation. 2. Seek understanding before offering solutions. 3. Never turn your wife into the enemy. 4. Choose humility over pride. 5. Protect your wife's dignity through unwavering respect. 6. Understand that the right conversation deserves the right moment. 7. Build trust through unwavering accountability. 8. Value connection above winning. 9. Never stop dating the woman you marry. Only one timeless law remains. It is the law that quietly binds all the others together. Without it, these principles become occasional habits. With it, they become a lifelong legacy. It is the daily decision to choose your marriage. Even when emotions fluctuate, life becomes demanding, and love requires sacrifice. That is where this journey reaches its powerful conclusion in Law 10. Love is not just a feeling, it is a daily decision. Thank you for watching. If you've learned something of value in this video, please do well to share it with your loved ones. Also subscribe and drop your comments. Bye for now.